It's Kidney Health Month, and I'm very pleased to be here today with Dr. Bevilacqua, nephrologist in Fraser Health. We're here today to talk about Kidney 101 and how to keep your kidneys healthy. Welcome.
Great, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. So I want to open up with, can you talk a little bit about why your kidneys are important? What function and role do they play within our body?
Sure, yeah. Like any other major organ system in your body, the kidneys are vital for you to have a nice, healthy life. The thing that the kidneys do specifically is that they manage a lot of the waste products and toxins that your body makes. So you're always kind of making these things that your body doesn't need, just as you go about your daily activities. And the kidney's job is to clean those out and eliminate that. It also plays a role in managing a lot of the fluids and salts and chemicals in your body and keeping those things in balance. There's some hormone systems as well that the kidney takes care of, and again keeps things in balance throughout your body. So it really does a lot of things throughout your whole body.
And we have two kidneys, and
Yes.
a lot of people probably don't even know where they are located.
Yeah, that's right. So I get this question very frequently, actually. So that's a good one. So your kidney, it's about the size of your fist, a normal shaped kidney.
Yeah.
Each one is about the size of your
size
fist.
of your fist, yeah.
And it kind of sits right here under your rib cage there,
Okay.
at the back.
So I have another question. You
Yes.
have two kidneys, and if the doctor tells me something's wrong with my kidneys, does that mean, well, I've got two, so only one's affected and I've got my backup kidney to keep me going?
That's a very good question, and I get asked that question a lot. There are some very, very specific things that can happen that will target just one kidney, some types of injury or things like that. But for the vast majority of the time, diseases that affect the kidney affect everything all at once. So both kidneys would be affected at the same time. So unfortunately, even though there's two of them, they would both be impacted equally.
Obviously, kidneys are very important to one's overall health. Can you talk about some of the ways that one can keep their kidneys healthy? Some tips?
Sure. So the important thing to remember is that a lot of the kidney diseases we see are not specific things that target just the kidneys.
Right.
So a lot of the tips that we give about keeping kidneys healthy is just general good health tips. So that's where we talk about things like stopping smoking, making sure you're getting enough exercise, a nice, healthy, balanced diet. People always ask about very specific types of diets that they want to follow. There's all kinds of trendy diets out there. You might hear something like the DASH diet, which a lot of doctors talk about, but really at the end of the day, all it comes down to is having a good, balanced diet. The one thing that we harp on as kidney doctors is to cut back on the salt and make sure that people are well hydrated. And then aside from that, because of the fact that most kidney diseases are related to chronic diseases like high blood pressure or diabetes, if people have those conditions, it's very, very important for their kidneys that those are well managed and well controlled.
So if the kidneys are not functioning properly, what are some of the warning signs?
Yeah, that's one of the tough things actually about kidney disease is that it's one of these silent kind of diseases in most people. So there are some specific things that sometimes people experience when they have kidney disease. Sometimes blood pressure goes out of control. Sometimes people might notice some changes in the way that they're passing or their urine or things like that. But actually the vast majority of people don't notice anything until it's very, very advanced.
Until it's very late, right?
Yeah, so that's why we really do try to make an effort to screen people who we think might be at risk of kidney disease and try to identify it early. Because if we're waiting for symptoms to appear from kidney disease, often we've kind of waited a little bit too long and things are pretty advanced by that time.
So when we talk about screening people who might be at risk for kidney disease, what are some of the risk factors? For people out there, how do they know if they fall into that risk category?
Yeah, so in Canada and most other developed countries, most kidney diseases are not from the kidney themselves. They're as a result of chronic conditions of other kinds. The big ones being things like high blood pressure and diabetes. So anybody who has a chronic condition like that, it's definitely worthwhile for them to see and talk to their doctor, and they'll do some screening to make sure their kidneys are in good shape. Now, outside of people who already know about those conditions, we actually have a tool out there on the website that people can kind of go through and see if they might be at risk. So on our BC Renal Agency website, under health information, there's actually a little questionnaire that people can go through, and they'll have to answer some simple questions about themselves, and they'll be able to see if they should go to their doctor and be screened for kidney disease.
Oh, well, that's really good to know. And there's certain ethnicities too that tend to be at higher risk, I guess, for kidney disease.
Yeah, and a lot of them go hand in hand with some of those chronic conditions as well.
Right.
So, for example, our Aboriginal population, and we have all kinds of different First Nations peoples in BC, they do unfortunately experience rates of chronic kidney disease that are quite high, and also rates of high blood pressure and diabetes that are quite high as well. So those go together. Same thing with our South Asian population.
Right.
A lot of those things kind of come together as a package, unfortunately. So we do see a lot of this here in BC in our different populations.
How would you explain to someone what is kidney disease?
Yeah, so there's kind of two big things that can go kind of wrong with the kidney. So there's things that can happen suddenly and be temporary. We call that kind of an acute kidney injury. That can happen if somebody's quite sick, something happens all of a sudden to their body, and their kidneys can take a bit of damage from that. And often those things are kind of temporary. If the person gets through their illness, they kind of recover and go back to normal, like any other injury in the body. But then the one that we often think about more is the chronic kidney disease, and that's kind of what we're talking about a lot today. And unlike something that's acute, that means chronic means that it's with somebody for long periods of time, and in most cases for the rest of their lives. And it's a wide range of things when we talk about chronic kidney disease. Some people have very mild amount of damage to their kidneys that for the most part won't really progress or cause them any serious impact for the rest of their life. Whereas some people, their chronic kidney disease can be more advanced and go on to progress and get worse and worse over the course of years.
There is no cure for kidney disease. Dialysis and a transplant are basically the two options. So you were just mentioning, with kidney disease, you can go from sort of mild to severe. At what stage, or can you even, at what stage would somebody need to look at one of those options?
Yeah, so, maybe I could say a few things about that.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily everybody who has kidney disease will go on and progress to need those things. So some people might have, a mild amount that, although we can check tests and tell them that their kidneys aren't at 100%, it's no big impact to them. So just someone being told that they have chronic kidney disease does not mean that they will go on to need dialysis or a transplant or things like that. For those people whose kidney disease is progressing or is getting worse over time, I think we've come a long way in treating that. You're right, there's no cure, but we have a wide network of chronic kidney disease clinics here in BC, and what the goal of those is even if we can't cure it or make the kidneys get better, our goal is if we can stop them from getting any worse or slow down any damage that's happening, we can do a great service to people that way. Despite all those efforts, you're right. Some people do go on and need these treatments like dialysis or transplants. You're also right to say that there's no one magic number that I can look at a blood test and says everybody needs dialysis or a transplant at X number. It's kind of a combination of things, but in general, once somebody's kidney function gets down below about 20% or so, that's when we start to think about those different options.
How do you detect kidney disease? I mean, there's a special test, I think, that often people are told to go to their doctor and request a certain test to see if their kidney function is impaired.
Yeah, there's some very simple tests that we can do. So there's one blood test that we look at called the creatinine value that can tell us how the kidneys are working. There are some things we look at in a very simple urine test as well that can give us some information about how the kidneys are doing. These are both very, very easy to do tests. It's just a matter of going out and looking for them. So that's why we say the big thing is actually getting that message across that people who are at high risk need to be screened.
How common is kidney disease?
Yeah, so this is something that we've really done a big push over the last few years to look at, and if you actually sample everybody probably about 1 in 10 Canadians has some degree of chronic kidney disease. Now again, a lot of those might be, or some of those might be milder types of chronic kidney disease that aren't going to progress, but just that number is staggering. You know, I was even shocked when I first heard that.
A lot of people, and I've often read this, they may have kidney disease, but they're not even aware that they have it. Right?
Absolutely. Along with that 1 in 10 number, we say that probably over 3/4 of the people don't have any idea that they have chronic kidney disease. Just getting the awareness out there is such an important thing. And that's why I'm so glad that we have things like Kidney Month and ways to just raise awareness around the scope of this disease that I think has been flying under the radar for too long.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bevilacqua, for being on our show today. And I look forward to hosting you in the near future.
My pleasure.